Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have complete peace around money, while others spend their entire lives chasing it, fearing it, or losing it? What if financial freedom wasn't just for the wealthy few, but a game that anyone could learn to play and win? This is not a story about greed or luxury. It's about liberation, the kind of freedom that allows you to live life on your own terms. Today, we step into the world of Tony Robbins' Money, Master the Game, a book that isn't just about getting rich, it's about taking back control. Tony Robbins begins with a truth most people avoid: money itself isn't the goal. The real goal is freedom, freedom from fear, from uncertainty, from that quiet anxiety that whispers every time you think about your bills, your job, or your future. He says, if you don't master money, it will master you. And that's exactly where the journey begins. Tony interviewed over 50 of the world's greatest financial minds, billionaires, investors, hedge fund managers, Nobel laureates. People like Dalio, Warren Buffett, and John Bogle. From each, he extracted lessons that could help ordinary people, not Wall Street insiders, create lasting wealth. But here's the twist: this book isn't about quick wins. It's about long-term mastery. The quiet, disciplined art of building financial freedom from the ground up. Tony divides this mastery into 7 simple steps. Each step feels like a door you open, a deeper level of clarity, control, and confidence with money. But before any of that, he begins with the psychology of wealth, because if your mind isn't free, your money never will be. He explains that every financial decision we make is tied to emotion. We spend when we're stressed. We save when we're scared. We chase when we feel behind. Money doesn't just reflect our bank account, it reflects our beliefs, our habits, our fears. So before we can play the game, we must first face the player within. He asks a powerful question: what does wealth mean to you? Is it security? Adventure? Contribution? Comfort? Most people chase money without ever asking why. But once you define what true financial freedom looks like for you, the path becomes clearer. The first step Tony calls becoming the insider. It means waking up to how the game of money is really played. Most of us were never taught about money in school. We're told to work hard, save, and hope for the best. But behind the scenes, the system is built to benefit those who understand it, and quietly drain those who don't. Fees, hidden charges, taxes, and inflation, they're the silent killers of wealth. Tony reveals how even a small 1% annual fee can eat away nearly 2/3 of your investment growth over a lifetime. It's shocking. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. So the first step to freedom is awareness. Learn how money actually works. Understand the rules, the traps, and the tricks that keep people stuck. The second step is to know the price of your dreams. Here Tony makes it simple. Financial freedom isn't some vague fantasy, it's a specific number. He breaks life into levels of financial security. First, the comfort of knowing your basic needs are covered. Then, the freedom to live the life you want, without stress. And finally, the ultimate goal, absolute financial independence, where work becomes a choice, not a necessity. Most people overestimate what they need. When Tony asks audiences, how much money would you need to never work again, they throw out massive numbers, millions, even tens of millions. But when they break it down, calculating actual expenses, investments, and sustainable income, they realize financial freedom might be far closer than they ever imagined. That's the moment of awakening. When the dream feels reachable. The third step is learning to make the game winnable. This is where strategy meets simplicity. Tony introduces what he calls the Freedom Fund, a portion of income you invest and never touch. It's sacred. Non-negotiable. Most people save what's left after spending. But the wealthy do the opposite, they spend what's left after saving. It's a small shift in order, but it changes everything. Tony shows how even saving a small percentage, 10% or 15%, and consistently investing it in the right vehicles can grow into millions over time. Compounding becomes your silent ally. It's not magic, it's math. But when you start early and stay consistent, it feels like magic. He tells a story about a janitor named Theodore Johnson, who never earned more than $14,000 a year, yet retired with over $70 million, simply by investing 20% of every paycheck throughout his life. It's proof that wealth isn't about income, it's about consistency. Then comes the fourth step: create a lifetime income plan. This is where Tony introduces what he calls the Core Four. For principles that make or break every financial decision. First, don't lose money. Sounds obvious, but most people chase big returns and ignore risk. Second, asymmetric risk-reward. Find investments where the potential upside is far greater than the downside. Third, tax efficiency. Because what you keep matters more than what you earn. And fourth, diversification. Not just across assets, but across time, geography, and strategy. Tony emphasizes the power of diversification through a concept called the all-seasons portfolio, inspired by billionaire investor Ray Dalio. This strategy is designed to perform well in any economic environment, booms, recessions, inflation, or deflation. Because real wealth isn't built on luck, it's built on resilience. By the fifth step, Tony dives deeper into the emotional core of money. He says, the secret to wealth is gratitude. It's a strange thing to hear in a financial book, but it's also the most profound truth in it. Because what good is financial freedom if you're emotionally bankrupt? Tony explains that the ultimate purpose of money is not to buy things, but to create experiences, growth, and contribution. He tells stories of billionaires who feel empty despite their fortunes, and ordinary people who feel rich with very little. The difference isn't in their bank accounts, it's in their perspective. So he teaches the importance of emotional wealth. Of feeling abundant now, not someday. Because when you live from gratitude, your decisions change. You stop acting out of fear. You start acting from strength. The sixth step is to invest like the 0.001%. Here Tony distills lessons from his conversations with legendary investors like Warren Buffett and Ray Dalio. And their advice is surprisingly simple: don't try to beat the market. Own it. He advocates for low-cost index funds, broad, diversified investments that mirror the entire market. Because data shows that over time, very few people, professionals included, consistently outperform the market. By removing emotions, cutting fees, and staying consistent, the average investor can quietly outperform most experts. It's the slow, steady approach that wins the race. Tony also talks about the importance of asset allocation, how much you put in stocks, bonds, real estate, and cash. He says this, more than any single investment, determines your success. And then there's the ultimate tool of leverage, time. Start early. Stay consistent. Let compound growth do the heavy lifting. Finally, the seventh step, the one that ties everything together, is give. Because true wealth isn't just about accumulation, it's about contribution. Tony shares how giving changes the entire emotional energy of money. When you give even a little, you tell yourself, I have enough. He recalls his own childhood, when strangers brought food to his family's door one Thanksgiving. That single act of generosity planted a seed in him, a lifelong drive to give back. Today, through his foundation, Tony provides over 100 million meals each year to families in need. He says that the act of giving doesn't wait until you rich, it makes you rich. Because it shifts your mindset from scarcity to abundance. By the end of Money, Master the Game, the lessons feel less like financial advice, and more like a spiritual guide to freedom. Tony Robbins doesn't just teach you how to earn, invest, and grow wealth. He teaches you how to think, feel, and live like someone who's free. Because real freedom isn't about having millions, it's about never again being controlled by fear. He invites you to design a life where your money works for you, instead of you working for money. To turn financial stress into strength, and uncertainty into opportunity. To transform your relationship with money from one of anxiety to one of confidence. And in the end, he leaves us with a challenge, to not just master the game, but to change the game. To use wealth as a tool, to serve, to grow, to give. Because the real measure of wealth isn't in what you have. It's in what you can give, without fear of running out. So, as you listen to this, pause for a moment. Imagine the version of yourself who never worries about money again. Who makes decisions not out of fear, but from freedom. That version of you is possible. And it starts, not with a lottery win or a miracle investment, but with awareness, discipline, and the quiet courage to begin. Tony Robbins wrote this book to remind us, money is a game you can win. And when you do, it's not the money that matters. It's the peace, the freedom, the power to design a life that feels like your own. And that is the real victory. This was Money, Master the Game by Tony Robbins, an extraordinary guide not just to mastering money, but mastering yourself. Because in the end, financial freedom isn't just about numbers, it's about reclaiming the life you were meant to live. This is Loveline's Library, where books become mirrors for the soul, and every story leaves a line of love behind. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and remember, freedom begins the moment you decide to take control.